Guys played an unbelievable game in so many areas, but going against one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league, and to have that offensive performance, we score 123 against the elite defense that they are. You can't give a team 31 freebies, second chance points, and we didn't have it, and that's got to be something we absolutely have to address. We have to own even more because that can't be an Achilles heel thing for us if we want to get where we want to get to as a team.
Mr. Kuhn, 21-10 from Ja, 22 from Jaren, but you come up short 1-2 on the road trip with losses to the Pacers and the Cavs. What did you think about Sunday night?
Well, I do think if Desmond Bane would have played a better game, it would have been a whole lot different.
7
points on 2 for 13, shooting 0 for 7 from 3. Not great. But I do think what Taylor Jenkins pointed out is the biggest Achilles heel for this team against good competition. And I want to go back to the last 2 games they've played against the top 2 teams in the Eastern and Western Conference. Against this Cleveland team, this Cavs team, who's number 1 in the East. You get out rebounded 57-37, 22-12 on the offensive boards, on the offensive glass. And then let's go to the Thunder game before the All-Star break. 55-40, you get out rebounded 21-10 on the offensive glass. It's a recurring theme against the best teams in the league, and this is something that me and you talked about on the show, Avery. It feels as if they just don't have enough in the front court right now. And if it weren't for Brandon Clark against the Magic, they probably would have gone 0-3 on this road trip. But it does highlight Brandon Clark is still very, very important to this team.
So valuable.
After
and it's
the
weird.
Achilles injury and everything else.
Yeah.
You just don't seemingly have enough against the best teams in the league in your front court. Jaren Jackson Jr., Santi Aldama are really good offensive options. They're very hit and miss with rebounding. Certainly Jaren is very hit and miss with his rebounding. You need somebody else to pick up that slack. So how do you do it? What do you do schematically to try to make that happen? I've pitched the idea of more team rebounding, maybe more Vince Williams Jr. minutes because he can be good on the glass. Obviously, the real answer would be Zach Edey to not be as up and down, to be more consistent. But I think what Taylor Jenkins highlighted is something that against a team, a really good team in the playoffs in a 7-game series, that could come back to bite them pretty substantially.
Yeah, you make an excellent point. And it's weird to think that rebounding is the Achilles heel of the team because if you look at the big picture stats, they're second in the NBA in rebounding at 47 rebounds a game. And they're also second in offensive rebounding, I believe. I think I want to say it's 11 or 12 a game. So you would think that the offense, or excuse me, the front court and their ability to rebound and get stops would not necessarily be the issue, especially when the Grizzlies are such a strong defensive rating team. They're top 5 in the NBA. So it is strange to me that when we get on these really big stages that they are having some of the struggles that they have. Now the Cavs they're kind of an anomaly in terms of what their front court is able to offer between Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Those guys are the twin towers of the NBA, if you can. They're really good rebounding duo and a rebounding team. But to me, it was you have your 3 superstars. Well, Ja's a superstar. You have your 3 stars in this game. The Cavaliers are missing Darius Garland, and you allow a Ty Jerome to go for 26 points and play Robin to Donovan Mitchell's Batman. I think that was really the sway for it for me because even if the rebounding is as bad as it was, you can't, and Taylor Jenkins is right, and the word we didn't hear in that clip was he said it doomed us, the offensive rebound. You can't give 31 second chance points to any team in the NBA, much less the record-wise best team in the NBA, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. You can't do that, but I think at the same time you have to minimize the guys who are not Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell. You got to minimize what they're able to bring to the table and almost make Donovan Mitchell beat you, which he did. He had 33. I was surprised by that. And to your point, Desmond Bane, he can't give you 0 for 7 from 3 and 7 points. But to that same point, he didn't play well, but Luke Kennard did. I think Luke Kennard had 19. Santi still gave you 14 or 15, and Jalen Wells gave you 14. I was surprised that the game was as close as it was with the way the rebounding went.
Yeah, and I think the bench really kept them in the game between Vince, Luke, and Santi. That really kept them around. And I think you made this point as well to me. Um, John Morant played well in this game. And I'm not trying to take away anything from him. He had 21 points. He had 10 assists. He shot relatively efficiently.
But it was
only
almost
had one
bookended.
turnover. Like, I'm not hating on it. Yeah, and it was like first and fourth quarter. We can talk about the minutes distribution and all that. That's a different discussion. But I think more often than not, when they play against teams like this, and I'm going to take the words from you. The other team superstars play like superstars, and John Morant is sort of hit and miss this year when it comes to playing at that superstar level. And that's something that certainly has to change by the time we get to the NBA playoffs. Kendrick Perkins, I don't agree with him on much. I think he's very hot takey at times. But I do agree with him with what he is. Sure. But with what he said on ESPN over the weekend, he said, if Jaren Jackson Jr. is your best player, this team is best player on the floor consistently, this team's probably doomed to earlier exit in the NBA playoffs. He says John Morant has to be that guy. And I got to be honest with you, I agree with him there. I fully agree with him. Ja's got to get back to being Ja. I miss the 18 points in the fourth quarter in the playoffs, Ja. I miss the 50 points against the Spurs, Ja. I haven't seen that type of offensive output or performance from him so far this year. He's only got 2 30-point games. It's been a while. Let's see if I just go back in his game logs. The 25-plus point performances are a lot lesser than they have been.
A little bit more sporadic than we've seen in the past.
I think in these types of big games, I want to see a little bit more of the old Ja, and I don't think I'm wrong for saying that.
I don't think you're wrong at all. I will say in the month of February, he's averaging 21 and 7. He does have, let me count, 1, 2, 3 25-plus performances in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, and one of those is a 23-point performance. So it's consistent, but almost not, and it's inconsistent in the way that we've seen Ja play in the past. He's still controlling games really well, I think, especially with his passing. And him getting others involved, and I think what this offense requires of him is to get as many of his teammates involved as possible, and in particular in this game, it was Jalen Wells and Santi Aldama. But you do need him to have kind of that takeover X factor that I think he almost waited too long to get to in the Cleveland Cavaliers game. I mean, it felt like to me he had a really strong first quarter. We didn't really hear much of him in the second and the third, and in the fourth quarter he turns it on. But at that point, like Ty Jerome and Donovan Mitchell are doing their thing, and you kind of don't get what you need to finish that game off and finish the comeback. And if we're going to be fair about this, Jaren Jackson Jr. had 4 fouls, and really he turned it on in the fourth quarter as well. But he was kind of a non-factor for much of this one, and then we didn't get what we thought we would get from Desmond Bane. So it does have to be kind of an all-hands-on-deck situation there from your stars. But to your point, I do think we've kind of gotten an up and down Ja Morant this year. I'm actually going to bring up this quote that we got from Ja from Shoot Around this morning. He's talking about being on social media. He says, "Yeah, I hate it there. The only reason I'm on it still is because I have endorsements and stuff I got to post. I don't really want to be on there. Hopefully y'all enjoy it now, because when I hang it up, y'all won't see me no more." End quote. So this was kind of interesting to me that we got that soundbite from Ja after this Sunday game, because he did play pretty well. And if you look at his socials, I didn't look at his X account today, but I did look at his Instagram, and it's literally just a bunch of his signature shoe, different colorways of his signature shoe. And in one of the last slides, he says, I'm literally only on here to share shoes and sneak
I'm
shoes.
here so I don't get fined.
Right, I'm only here to do shoes, and then after this, y'all got about an hour before y'all won't see me no more. Well, Gabe, what do you think about what the message Ja's kind of giving off here? Social media is one thing. Is it translating? Is it bleeding into the rest of his Grizzlies life?
I think it always has. I mean, I remember it was his rookie or second year. He had an unbelievable game. I think he had 30-plus points, and they won the game, and he was unbelievable in the fourth quarter. And he's calling out random guys that tagged him on Twitter, and it's like, I'll say this: his decision to step away and just make it sort of a platform for him to throw his endorsements on. Like I'm all for that. I've always been all for that for John Morant, because in the end of the day, you have to protect your mentals, man. You're a celebrity. You are one of the potential young faces of the NBA, of where we're headed in the NBA. You're going to get a lot of flack. You're going to get a lot of criticism. You can't pay attention to every little thing. And I do think, and I've always talked about this, I think it's human nature. Like, Ja gets a lot of praise. Like, let's not act like he doesn't. People love Ja. People buy his shoes. People enjoy being around Ja, being tied to Ja. So he probably gets a lot of compliments on that app as well. But I think it's human nature to get that one negative comment. Like I that happens to me sometimes. I could get 9 comments saying that, oh, your show's the best. It's the best 3 hours of radio I've heard ever. And then I'll get one comment saying, you're a fat POS. And that's the one I remember. So I think Ja falls into that trap a little bit too much. But I'm all for this, man. Protect your mentals, do what you can to, and move forward. But I always have thought, and I think most people are on my side on this, I always have thought he has been way too plugged in to what people are saying about him on the socials.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that one. And we know that social media is kind of what got him in trouble in the first place, right? We're talking about his suspension and everything from his Instagram account at that point. But it is really easy to listen to the noise. I think especially when you're somebody like Ja Morant, who whether you're getting tagged directly, at Ja Morant, or just people just type in your name in a tweet, you're going to tend to see that. And especially the way X works in particular, like the way the algorithm works, if your name's getting typed up a lot and you're Grizzlies centric, you're going to see your name a lot if you're Ja Morant on social media. And there's been people whispering like, oh, they should trade him. And there's people whispering like, he's not playing well and he's doing this and he's doing that. And, maybe Ja's not who we thought he was and all kinds of stuff. And I think it can be real easy you got to remember Ja Morant is 25 years old, right? It's so easy to take in all of that. And like you said, Gabe, hold on to some of the negative or a lot of the negative instead of looking at some of the positives, because Ja does get a lot of love. I know I see tweets of people adding him and saying, Ja, people in this city love you. Memphis loves you. Don't listen to the haters, this, that, and the third. And I'm sure he takes some of that in too, but it has to be exhausting. And I think we like to pretend like he's not a human being and some of these superstars are not human beings because they make millions of dollars. But at the end of the day, like they're people taking in social media the same way a lot of us are. Yep. And I was listening to the Jason and John show today, and John Martin talks about how a lot of us who take in social media are not in the public eye and the social awareness circle. So you can almost get away with saying whatever you want, and a lot of it's not going to come back on you. From Ja Morant, that is certainly not the case. And I think we've seen this with other stars, too. We think about Kevin Durant, right, who loves a burner account. Kevin Durant, who loves to clap back at people on social media. You can tell his skin is a little thin. And it looks like Ja is, to your point, Gabe, doing the best thing for his mental health and just saying, X-nay on the social media.
Can I ask you this though? How thin are these guys' skin really? With all the nonsense they get, like I like to think I have thick skin. I doubt I could be able to handle all that.
Absolutely not.
All the nonsense and tags and threats and parlays that they've screwed up. I as much as we sort of call Kevin Durant thin skin, and I guess for certain athletes maybe he is on social media.
Get tired of it.
But I don't know how thin-skinned these guys are, because it would be so hard to deal with that day in, day out.
Yeah, I agree with you on that note. You got to take whatever steps are necessary for you to make sure you're in the best, mental health space possible. And I think that's what we've seen Ja do. So I guess all we'll see from him is his Ja 2s, the new colorways, and the PSD. Underwear ads and some of those things, and everything else we'll have to depend on his media team for.
Do you have a pair of Jaws?
Do I have a pair? I have the Ja 1s. I got 2 pairs of the Ja 1s. I haven't gotten the Ja 2s yet. I don't know if I will. I'd like to.
I'm gonna have to.
The Ja
move
ones
that
are
direction
good, are
soon.
good for the walking around. You know, they're good for the, I'm just out, out and about looking good. Ja 2s
You don't
seem
hoop in them? You know?
I mean, you can hoop in them, but I think the Ja 2s are better, like, hooping shoes. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Well, let's
100%.
take a